All right, we are here. I'm gonna quickly share this with everybody. Get my usual gang up in this. And I am going to quickly go through all of these patches. Give me just 1 second. Now streaming. Where is it? There we go. Okay. What's good, everybody? My name is Alckemy, and today we are going to be taking a look at my newest preset bank, which is Æturnum 3 for Faceplant, Kilohearts, Suite, Multipass. Hello, George. Today I'm super excited because this has been something that I've been working on, and I continue to release these packs, and they continue to get better and better. And as I continue to kind of like make these, which I do almost every single day, like I make one of these patches and I use them in my own tunes and all that stuff, they continue to just become more robust and provide more variation for sound that you all will have immediate access to if you decide that this is something for you. Now, I understand that, you know, asking for money for presets is one thing. Ooh, dude, that sounds so good. I'm going to do that right after stream. Is one thing, but what I'm trying to solve within all of these preset packs is saying, how do I like skip all of these problems and just go directly to the sounds that I want? And we're going to kind of take a look at all that here in just a second. Hey, Zach. So yeah, I'm really excited. There are a ton of presets within this. There's over 200 on this, so it's definitely my biggest pack yet. There are 100 faceplant presets. 61 of them are these neuro bass hybrid patches that have the ability to kind of like, it's a regular bass, and then you turn one knob and then it becomes a neuro filter. And if you turn another knob, you can actually use the same filtering stuff, but with an LFO that you can control. Not all of them have that, but that's kind of like the new thing with this pack. And then if you turn on another macro, then it will become a generator for random sound. So you're pretty much getting like 4 patches in one for just one bass. And there's 61 of those, so that's awesome. I'm also including the 8 basses that I've made of this How to Bite season, which we're on season 1. I guess we'll be starting on season 2 at some point, where I'll be doing some R&D to kind of, I don't know, make better sounds and stuff. But this includes the Skrillex bass, the Noisia bass that we did, the Amanu bass that we did, the Audica bass, the Frequent one, the Resonant Language one that we just put out today, I'm trying to remember the Res bass, which is pretty simple, but yeah, there's one more and I can't quite remember who that was, but it's in there. So there's that. There are 13 musical patches that is actually really cool. There's a bunch of like arpeggiators and stuff in there that just sound really awesome. And then we've got 18 miscellaneous patches that are either simple basses or like foghorns or interesting sounds that I'm going to take you guys through all of that stuff. So there's also 89 multipass presets, and there are 40 snap heat presets and 14 wavetables. There are some wavetables that I've used in these basses from another pack that I released, but I didn't release them as a wavetable by themselves. They're just like basses that I've used because it is what it is. So yeah, overall you're getting 200 something patches, and there's a lot to sift through. So let's go ahead and start opening these up. I'm just going to quickly take you through some of the, I guess, easier things first, and then at the end we'll start to get into the hybrid basses and stuff. But we pretty much have 4 categories here, which are the How to Bite season 1. Then we have the musical ideas here. Then we've got some of like more simple basses and stuff. And then we've got our big list of hybrid basses. So let's go ahead and just kind of look at some of these. And if you recall from any of the How to Bite season stuff, then that's kind of something that you'll be familiar with, because people have been asking me where they can access these. I wish I was in better habit of making dope macro parameters. I don't for myself because I never revisit patches anyways. I don't either. Like, I almost never revisit patches either. But at the same time, like, when you see this, well, I think you've been here quite a while, so you kind of would recognize. But when you make like racks and stuff, it makes sound design so much easier, especially if you're in Faceplant. So yeah, this is the first bass. And this is kind of just designed to be something that was very simple, as kind of like a whoa. This is kind of one of those typical drum and bass, you know, low end things that kind of have that. There's also the Audica How to Bite from Engine Block. Sick. This one is the frequent bass. And this one is controlled via an LFO. This one is How to Bite off Cohen Sound. So this one is kind of like the first one that I think we opened up with. This one is a pretty simple one. It's the res bass. For some reason, I think that my pitch is off. I've been having issues with that. But anyways, this is super simple. It's just kind of a very easy E bass, and then you can kind of check on all of these for the what's it called, for like how to make these if you want. But this one is the Skrillex one. This one is the Noisiest Sinkhole. Ultra wide. This is the one that we did earlier this morning, which is the resonant bass, and this is great because this is kind of like an allusion to getting into the stuff that we're going to be going through here in just a second. So within this, we pretty much have just some racks set up like this, and if you start with a simple sound, there might be a bad connection somewhere, maybe a sample rate issue. Crap, thank you for letting me know that. That's unfortunate. Man, that sucks. Is that fixed? I hope that's fixed. Sounds better. Okay, thanks so much. So yeah, we'll just go through this and then we'll hop into the Æturnum presets, and then whenever I upload, I'll just cut that off because that kind of sucks. But anyways, yeah, this is Æturnum 3. I'm super excited about it. We've got a lot of stuff to go through. There's over 200 patches, and right now we're kind of just finishing up looking at the How to Bite Season 1 bases and stuff that you can go through that are more simple. But right now, this is the resonant language bass. And this one is pretty cool because even though it has some kind of sounds that are not that pleasing, it kind of gives you an idea about how to get into like making variation based off of like ignoring all of the things that you're supposed to do. And I think that actually like Faceplant is the best like is the best driver for that, for saying, hey, it doesn't matter that, you know, a sound is supposed to sound like this. Just take it and destroy it and do different things and see what you can get out of it. So let's go ahead and quickly cover some of this stuff, which actually I'm really excited about because it sounds really good. This is the Arctic Bells. It's pretty simple, but big fan. So I've got a few of these with these art makers, and the coolest things about these is that they've got like a very simple kind of pattern that is like fifths and octaves. But the cool thing is that whenever you play them and you offset them, you get really cool, I guess, like rhythms, or polyrhythms rather. And depending on how you offset the keys, everything is playing at a 1/4, but because you're getting the offset of that, it ends up sounding really cool with like the way that the rhythm plays with itself. Let's go ahead and take a look at the next one, which is ARP4, and this one has a little bit more variation to it, but it's kind of in the same mindset with a lot of AM modulated bells that are just from sine waves, but I just like these. They sound so super cool, and I wanted to include these in the pack. Super cool. Okay, this was the original one that I made that I actually have a tutorial on, but it's very, very, I guess, like, I don't know, this is super peaceful to me. Love it, man. And then we've got this like weird patch right here that just kind of helps make it a little bit more interesting. So yeah, here's another one. And I think this one just has a nice easy pad under it. So this one is a hollow pad, and I think we did this one for Halloween. This one is Invasion Bell, and this one is more of just an actual like pluck sound, but there's some essence of physical modeling in this. I like that one a lot. It sounds really good if you add another reverb on the end of it, and then you can adjust the pluck size of it. Then we've got some cool stuff here that's kind of like old school. And what's cool about this is the lower you play the pitch, the slower it's actually going to oscillate. And there's a few of these in here. And then if you play it higher, of course. This one is kind of like how to make your own, but it's a little bit more dry, I'd say. It's super cool. Yeah. This one is one I made recently, and it sounds super nice. Add some reverb to it. And then we can start to add in some of the other stuff, like you can add sync if you want. You can also add in a modulation, which sounds really nice. We can kind of make that dry so you can tell the difference. And I like this because it sounds almost like physical. It's kind of quiet, but... And then we've got a super cool pad that I made a few days ago as well, which is kind of just like, yeah, I'll just show you. Lots of variation here. That's a great way to make pads, though. Yeah, big fan. So what this has in here is an effect stack that has a bunch of like different fifths and octaves, and I think that's a great way to make pads that sound good like this, and that's why even this is here. So that way if you're just playing a normal chord of like triads or whatever, and you add an octave, it's gonna, you know, sound better. And then if you add a fifth to it, it's super pretty. Yeah, so really happy with that one. Okay, and this one I think is just a simple pad. Obviously, simple pad, but I'm pretty sure. Yeah. And I wanted this to be kind of dry because I wanted this to be something that is really easy to mix, because whenever you start adding reverb and stuff, sometimes it can get kind of difficult. But and sine waves are hard because they're super resonant, so if you don't like control it at the beginning, then it can sometimes get super muddy. But again, this is just stuff that I would use in a lot of different scenarios of like starting with something and then trying to like make it more. And I think that this is just another simple pad that is underwater easy. I think I have a tutorial on this or a short or something, but nice and underwatery. That feels good. You're listening to smooth jazz. All right, so that should be, yeah, all of that for the musical stuff. Let's go ahead and look at the other stuff quickly, and it should be a lot more simple, and I'll just kind of like play some notes and then kind of move through, but because I want to get to the hybrid patches, which is going to be the most interesting stuff. Yeah, so this one is just a cool like downbeat, almost 808, but like a little bit more interesting than an 808. And it's pretty cool because I use a transient shaper to make this, and just a huge hit on that. This one has a lot of interesting stuff on it, so I'll just kind of go through the racks, but yeah, I like that one a lot too. This one is just a super basic bass. Like if you are just trying to get into like figuring out like a very basic simple neuro bass, this is all you need is a sine wave with two detuned saw waves, a low pass, saturation, and a notch filter, and that will teach you how to get into making the most simplest of neuro basses. This one is a big donker. I think this was meant for like a house type tune. That's pretty cool. This one is kind of like a foghorn brass scrape for like low metal. Super eerie. This is called Death Scream. It's just kind of meant for like horror themed things in mind. I think I made a second version of this. It should sound different. Yeah. Just some cool effects. This one is another foghorn. It's just distorted metal. I think it sounds a little bit cleaner. Doesn't make sense, but it's fine. Yeah, I mean, I would say that this isn't quite a simple bass, but it's simple in the fact that like it's got simple movement. It's super cool. Just a nice 808. This one is a bad attempt at rhythm. I do like it though. It has a really cool vibrato effect with it. But again, like this section is kind of just like how to have like some more simple sounds to kind of play with or whatever. I think this is just it's a starter pack crease, so it's just a nice clean. Nice clean reese. And then this is the thick growl. I think this is actually going to be in the other. I moved this over from the actual pack, but this transformer thing is super cool. Just a cool like transformer sound. This is also kind of like a more complex like neuro type filter that you can kind of go through all these things with. And something new within this that I started doing is actually using a shelf with automating the resonance and the gain, and that can give you some really cool and interesting results. This is just a wonk. It's nothing more than that. Just a cool like percussive piece that I think that I liked because of the artifacts that are introduced like on the right side of the stereo field. I like that a lot. So yeah. Now we can go into the hybrid basses, which all of these have quite a bit. So they all have at least this, which is the neuro and the glitch and the speed. So if I just play it by itself, it'll just be a normal sounding bass. And then whenever I turn the knobs up, it begins to kind of morph into something different. And then if I turn that off and I go into a glitch, then it'll start to pretty much do... Super cool. So that's pretty much what all of these do. And then I've got like these new, some of these are like this new generation of these racks that they have the neuro randomizer on them. But what I've also figured out is how to turn these into LFOs as well within the same patch. So like, let's say you like the movement of this. Sorry, my computer, because of my monitor, my computer's resources are limited, but let's say you like that. Well, what you can do is you can actually use an LFO now instead via these things and start to create shapes that will actually repeat in case if you like the way that they're all set up. So let me go ahead and turn off the generator and see if that helps. Yeah. And so if we want to make something do the same thing every time, then we can just create a new LFO pattern. And now it's going to be able to do the same thing every time, which is super cool. Likewise, this also has a generator built into it. And as you can see, like we have so many of these patches for multipass and snap heap because all of the racks that I've made, which I've made all these from scratch, but all the racks that I've made, I save these presets in here, and then we can kind of use them for either later patches or kind of just use them for like effect racks, and I do it all the time. Okay, so I can't play this patch. The Samsung Odyssey G9, this monitor that I have, is like super taxing because normally this would be no problem, but whenever you combine these together and you play them, you end up getting some really cool stuff. Okay, this one is called Amakiri, which I think there was some point that I started doing like yokai monsters or whatever, and if you guys know me, then you know that I like doing monster stuff. But I just love these because, I mean, you just end up getting these super huge monsters out of them. And, like, this would be really difficult to sound design with purpose. I mean, through this process, I figured out how to, you know what I mean, like, get this pretty consistently. But as a means of, like, getting specific movement, it's very difficult. Like, that's, you know, and all of these have moments of gold in them that you can use for either resampling or whatever. But, you know, just that hit in particular is an awesome downbeat bass that you can be like, oh, man, that was super cool. And then you can take that out with you. And that's what is like the beautiful thing behind this, is that there's so much variation built in behind these presets that you can literally get so much out of just one because of the randomization that you have, and then also the relationship that you build with the generator, and then, you know, or like an LFO, or you change the position of the wavetable, or you mess with the detuning, or you change, you know what I mean, all of these macros and stuff. There's just so much variation that is available to you. But where stuff really gets crazy is when you start to swap out different like effect racks over this, and you start to change them into something different, which we'll do later. But for this in particular, let's just go ahead and keep cycling through these, because otherwise we're going to be here forever. So yeah, this one, I think this one is actually like an amalgamation of one of an Æturnum 2 patch, but I wanted to do more with it. So it's just kind of simple, you know, starting out, and then whenever you turn this on, it should get really big. yeah, just a ton of variation. This one is called Banshee. And I personally wouldn't maybe like leave this out here, you know, like playing this and trying to implement this into a track, but just as starting out and then having something simple and then going into the next, like resampling out of that and then putting it in a recycle bin and then pulling more out of it if you need it would be the way that I would use these. Again, I apologize for my computer's resources being taxed out. Let me see if that helps. So this was actually one of the first ones that I made with the new kind of LFO thing in mind, which is really cool. And all of these are mostly the same LFO, but because I don't think that most people would want to use that, but they're just available in that way in case if you want to actually create shapes out of it. So. This one's super cool. Yeah, so this one is Bakekujira. This could also be because I'm in beta 4, so I'm wondering if maybe there's some optimization issues with this, but normally, like I said, I don't have a hard time playing these patches even when I'm streaming. I like that one a lot, man. Super cool. Carbuncle. This one was a lot of fun because I started doing like some really interesting panning stuff with this, as you can see here, and then kept this in mono. But something that I've been trying to do is just like mess with that of like being like, oh, well, screw the whole mono deal other than your sub. But it's been really fun to just be like, how do I make this sound as nuts as possible? And I really enjoy doing that. Breaking sound is what we do here. Love it, man. Crimson Creature. I think I gave this one out to all of the ALCA members, but I mean, even still, it's not available to the public in general. So, Yeah, again, I just like having, you know, a thick reese and having a wavetable to cycle through. Hey, Winter. New pack. Yeah, it's my CPU capping out. I wonder, am I running anything in the background that's making that do that? Because again, this is pretty uncommon for a single patch to load me up like that. I mean, obviously when I was making this, I wasn't having this problem, so I don't know, it could just be from the stream, but... Yeah, even still, I can still hear some really cool stuff out of that. Super cool. Crystal Demon. Dead Space, this one is cool because it's kind of a little bit different than like the Neuro and Generator. I kind of just like destroyed both and then set a equal rate on these. I had a short on this one in particular, and then I went back and added stuff to it, but this is one of my favorites. Outputs for music, Rogue Amoeba, and I'm loving it. Makes outputs for my DAWs a lot easier. Oh, that might be something I look into. I just love how visceral some of those sounds are. And like the subtlety is like, ah, man, this is super cool. All right, we got Fire Demon on this one. The monster sounds, man, and that's why I like naming these like monsters in general, because at this point it's almost not even neuro based. They're just like, well, they're just creatures. Yo, thank you so much, FC Future Court. Is that you, Levi? Thank you. And I don't know, I just love the idea about having like heavy basses and stuff, and then having the ability to kind of morph that into, you know, either a soundscape or something that's going to give you a lot of variation, but still have like still be within the same kind of sound, if that makes sense. So this one is only a wavetable, and I think I did this one on purpose to try to like show the gap of how you can kind of do both, and you can just as easily add a randomizer to this and control it, but this one is just an LFO pattern that's got obviously a bunch of stuff wrapped into it, but it's still super heavy. And then it goes into a generator. Oh, hey, Scree. No worries. I posted on the Discord. Yeah, this one's... I don't know. This one was too cool for me not to put it in. So this one is Forneus. Forneus is a Castlevania creature in Order of Ecclesia that's like a giant jellyfish monster thing. So that's where that comes into play. Do you ever use LFO for modulation and then use different randomization to control each of the LFO speed? Not really, because I really need to play Castlevania. Yeah, you do. Not really, because if you look right here, there's this speed modulator, and whenever I have something like this, whenever the speed of this changes, of the actual pitch that's in, it will actually speed this up. So if I turn this down and I just play like a low note, it doesn't matter if I'm using the pitch bend or just playing a higher key. That kind of helps dictate that, and that kind of will automatically, you know, like rotate the speed. And then for the generator, like if it gets too crazy, then sometimes it just like sounds like a wash of nothing. So that's generally why I don't do that so much. I do have a gen speed on here, but it's very subtle with how much I automate that. Super cool. This one is Forneus Cave, which is the same wavetable, but it should be a completely different deal. Did I forget to save this? No, I have that in there. Okay. Yeah, you got to use time, not sync, and it's delicate to go that route. I mean, really, like, I would say, even though I don't do it, that doesn't mean that you shouldn't do it. I just, like, that's just the reason why I don't in particular. But, yeah, I don't know. I find this has just been the most helpful or useful to me in particular. Cool. Yeah, it's Levi. I'm moving all my serious stuff over to this account to consolidate business and educational purposes. Right on. Well, thank you. I appreciate you becoming a member again. It's so cool. And like one of my favorite things to do with this stuff is to like, and not all of these patches have it, but sometimes you'll hear like the reverse reverb come in and it sounds like it's almost like a suction sound. And I love that in music and just like as a world builder. No problem. I would double down if I could, but got to pinch pennies. That's what, dude, no worries. Thank you so much thank you so much for even coming into the stream. So yeah, no worries. This one's a little bit more hollow. into nothingness. But you're having to start over on your icons. Your badges, though. I'd say this one is more of like a technology sounding thing rather than a monster. Still sounds cool though. And that's something that I was hoping to achieve with all of these, is like, I don't want all of these to sound the same. You know, like, yeah, they're all technically neural bases and there's a lot of them, and like, you know, some monsters and stuff are going to sound similar, but when you start to turn on the knobs and you start to turn on the racks, like, I really want them to all kind of have like a unique characteristic to them. Still lets me see your member vids and classes because it's managed by my main one. Oh yeah, you just linked it up as a brand account and then have a subsequent thing. This one is super cool. Yeah, and I like that. And as you can tell, like, I do feel like all of these are different, and I'm really excited to get this into people's hands and all that, because this is like, I think as of now, as of like Faceplant 1, this is the best iteration of what I believe Faceplant has to offer. And I've seen other people do some other really cool stuff with it, by all means, but as far as somebody that is a bass designer that's been doing bass design, like, to me, like, there's very few things that I could imagine that could make this stuff, you know, better. That'd be smart. Juggle like 14 accounts and change roughly 10 passwords each month. Herdunkachunk is a name that my friend Isaiah and I... When is this pack dropping? It's available right now on alckemy.com. That's me. What's you? Gotta use time. Wait. I just looked up to the last message you sent. Do what now? Herdunkachunk. Oh, are you saying Herdunkachunk is you? Pong. Yeah, I like this one a lot. Really cool underwater sounds with this. But yeah, Herdunkachunk is a name that we always use whenever we do Dark Souls. Oh, the account management style. Gotcha. I was like, you identify with Herdunkachunk? You got SCs and can't even find these days. Yeah, super cool. This one is Hokage. This was actually like super distorted, I believe, but I made this after listening to a lot of Cage's music. This is meant to be super resonant, as you can see here, so you'll get some really cool, like, whoa. Sick. Man, that's so cool. This one is called Homunculus, so I hope that you guys like identify with the Castlevania creatures and stuff, because it's super cool. Do I vocode any of these patches? Yeah, sometimes. I have a video on my channel that says how to vocode a neurobase with another neurobase. That one is a good watch. That's cool too is like this seems like it's playing at a standard rate, but you can always come into here and change the rates of these, and like you will get vastly different stuff. So if you reduce this, instead of having to like change up the whole patch and stuff, but just by doing that, like listen to how much different this is going to sound. Likewise, if we speed this up quite a bit. And it's super cool because like all of these, like these racks are all mapped, or like have all these effects that are mapped to like these single parameters, and that's what I enjoy about this. How old is Æturnum 1? I want to say like 2 years. And the other thing too is that like these all have a relationship, and that's like one of the funnest things about this is it's not just the neural random or the neural generator or whatever. It's whenever you kind of do a little bit of mixing in between, you end up getting this like cool interaction between all the effects. This one is Honey Panda latimus. It's a honey badger panda duck-billed platypus, something like that. So when you write vocode neuro with another neuro on a napkin, leave it on the coffee table for tonight's production and go to work. Thanks, my dude. Yeah, for sure. I think it's like a 5-minute watch, so it shouldn't be that long. It was part of your initial foray into phase plant neuros. Like, how applicable is it to learn from right now? I'll probably grab this one to study for sure. So, I mean, it has the same stuff. Love y'all. Have a good one. Yo, thanks so much, man. I appreciate you coming in. Oh, wait, you're over here. Always a pleasure to have you. It's still applicable. It's got a lot more like variations and stuff, but it's like the building blocks. So it does have some of these hybrid patches, but it's got like, here's a neuro-based version, and then here's a generator version. And then on some of those, I'm like, all right, that's when I started to figure out how to combine the two. And the way that this worked was a couple years ago, I came out with the Ascension pack, and I was like, oh man, I can make these cool, crazy generators out of it. And then I have like 20 of those, but I wasn't really sure how people would receive it. And then after that, I was like, oh my gosh, now I figured out that I can do both the neuro rack and the generator rack in the same patch. And that's when Æturnum 1 came out. And then Æturnum 2 was kind of a matter of refinement of doing a lot more of this stuff, but in means of kind of a, how do you say, like figuring out how to just make more of these patches to where they have more interactions with each other. And then in the third iteration, I figured out the way to add the LFO, which is the big trick to this, but also just having more options and more macros and things, and like just being better at the sound design in general. So, and there's just a lot more content on here. Like there's 61 of these like hybrid patches. And then I've got some other kind of like, you know, just cool, novel variation. So that way it's not just bass. It's like, here's some other stuff that I do sometimes. But yeah, I definitely think all of this stuff is applicable. It's really just a matter of like figuring out how to set stuff up. But you've already taken the comprehensive guide to Neurobase 4. So I think that's the most helpful thing that you could do, right? And by the way, if anybody's interested, like I have a comprehensive guide of how to make all this stuff for all of the Arcanum members, which thank you to everybody that is an Arcanum member. I don't leave anything out. If you want to learn how to do this, I have the resources available. If you want just the patches, I have resources available. It's really just trying to solve all of your issues with sound design or with whatever, and being like, nobody gets left out. Nobody gets left out. And I've prepared some patches for you that I've personally used that I think are awesome and will take you a long way to either dissect or to use in your own tunes or whatever. So that's kind of like the philosophy that I have between this and my hope for anybody that's interested in this kind of stuff. And I have access to your member vids, which are highly valuable as well. Yeah, I mean, I do one of these from scratch every day. This one is sick. Yeah, let's move on. Otherwise, we're going to be here all day. So, yeah, I mean, and that's the cool thing about this, is that the more that I do these, the more that I keep learning from them and keep doing like different variations and stuff. But the overall approach to them is pretty much the same. I also apologize because normally like I have everything set up in the same way, so that way you can use an MPE controller with this, but every once in a while I'll have these like oddball setups. There's not been one stream where you did not go into something new or cover some topic, like those quick sonar pings. Yeah, and like I always ask in my streams as well of like, what are your questions? What are your questions? And it's not because I think I know everything. It's because I'm like, hey, like what do you guys want to see? You know, what do you want to do for one? What do you also want to see? But I like when people challenge me to say, or like challenge me to go in different directions. And then I usually end up coming back because like this is my home. I think as far as like the Alckemy brand or whatever, or me as an artist, like even if I'm not recognized for my music, I think that this is still something that I just haven't seen it done before. Nobody's done this before. And I don't want to be considered as a one-trick pony, but I feel like you can't really consider this to be a one-trick pony because the variation and how much time you take, and you can easily take like one of these ideas and use that as a single sound. But at the same time, I'm proud of this because it's very unique to me and my artistry about how I go about making stuff. And I think that because you have such a wide variety of sound behind this, it's going to be valuable to anybody that likes bass music or likes random sounds and stuff. So and I'm happy too because like it gives somebody immediate access to this kind of stuff. That's awesome. Okay, let's turn on the generator. Super cool. This one's loud. And they're all different, man. I was really worried about all of these sounding samey, but as I scroll through these, I'm like, okay, this is different, this is different, this is different. Good lead for a boss pedal. Yeah, or just like, I love making like interesting, like scary sounds, right? That are just super heavy, that are like, and like take up the whole frequency spectrum because there's sound design highlights, and I make sound designers music. And I wouldn't say that my music is amazing or anything, but that's part of the fun, is being like, all right, well, you know, how do I create something that is like, oh man, I never heard that before. That's really cool. And you could do it with melodies and stuff, but I don't know. I'm happy with where I'm at. Awesome. Lesser Demon, Castlevania creature. So cool. LFO Rando Gen Hybrid. I think that's just the speed. Lurker in the Dark. Yeah, it's super cool to me. And that's what I love, is just like when you have that stuff. You know, I'm going straight for this other channel. Other folder. Thank you, Levi. I appreciate it. I hope that you love the pack. You can obviously hear why it's called Lurker in the Dark. Been waiting for the Crystal Demon. Didn't I give that to you? I thought that I handed that out to people in the Discord for the Alcahest members. Mankibus. I think I just wanted to start this off as like a clean like sub, and then now whenever we turn this up, it's gonna like open up and get all nuts. Okay, makes sense. Yeah, super cool. Well, right on. It's available, so if you want some of these patches of like when I first started designing like this new kind of like way of these things, you can go and become an Alcahest member and get access to a lot of these, but haven't even opened up Bitwig for a while. That makes me sad. What have you done? This one is called Minotaur. Okay, well that's acceptable, just as long as you're in the DAW doing something. I love like the crystal sounds of these. That's super cool. All right, we got Mudman. And the other thing that's I haven't mentioned is that not only do we have the detuning of a lot of these, in case if you just want like either a lead maker, but we also have a wavetable position as well. So I mean, just the sheer amount of variation that you have between this stuff is, yeah, there's a lot of stuff to get into. Was that in Bitwig or in Faceplant? Oh, I think you were telling me about that on a chat we had. Yeah, I like this one. Okay, Mechanical Spectre. This one is super cool. I use this snap heap rack quite a bit outside of this bass. In Faceplant, right on. It's a very slow growl, but I think this one is actually not a Reese. What's the difference between that and multipass? One of them is frequency splitting, and then one of them is just band splitting. So it's entire frequency bands that you can move off. The reason why I do that is because sometimes I want like the effects to affect the entire sound as opposed to just a certain frequency range. I would say that multipass is more versatile, but yeah, it's just like, here's just a whole general effect rack. But I like running stuff in parallel sometimes, but yeah. It's so cool, man. Yeah, I love this one. It sounds like very like engine machine-esque. That's why it's called Mechanical Spectre. Okay, this one is a notch placement over here, and I did that to try to control some of the stuff, but this is what this one sounds like. Do I ever use Serum Effects for Faceplant? What do you mean? Like, do I ever like put it outside of that? To answer your question though, I never use Serum Effects. This one's very multipass frequency splits do effects on separate frequencies. Snap Heap allows you to run parallel for layering separate effects chains or serial normal effect chain routing. Yeah. That's why I have this set up. I didn't realize how much this notch affects the rest of this stuff. Yeah, I like that a lot. I love these sounds, man. I hope you guys do too if you decide to buy the pack. Come on. I don't know if you guys have played Dead Space or not, but the Necromorph is a creature off of there, or I guess like the enemy type, and I just love the sound of this. It sounds like, you know, like ghosts and stuff of being in the ventilation ducts and all that. Again, sorry for the overbearing of this. I think it's just the Bitwig beta. This one is recent. Something that I started doing. The slightest bit of crackle going on. Also, Dead Space 2. Boss fight is amazing, easy but awesome. Yeah, I think the crackling is from, like I said, Bitwig. I'm on a beta version right now, and I think that it's just not playing nicely with these patches. Is the crackling gone? I hope. So something new that I started doing is also doing little bits of FM on this. And the reason why is because, like, typically when you do too much FM, it gets to be really shrieky and stuff. But when you activate this with the neural processor, it's always going through some kind of low pass filter. So you can get away with some of that. But I started kind of implementing this and then also just using that as a fourth chain. All right, it's just kind of intermittently comes and goes depending on the patch. It's not bad. Yeah, that's the patch. The DSP is being overloaded. And again, like I said, I'm kind of confused because that never happens. Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, so if it does start like being lame or something, let me know. So yeah, we've got this stuff. And then you can always add in some. Yeah, I mean, I could just play with this stuff forever. It's so fun. This one's super nasally. Yeah, just morphing creatures. This one is also super recent. As you can tell, I like F, so. That's really cool. I don't remember this sounding like this, but I'm pretty happy with it. Yeah. Man, it's so fucking awesome. Like I said, I'm really proud of this, and I put a ton of work into it, as you can tell. I've had to design each and every one of these, like, not necessarily from scratch because I have a template that I use now, but as far as like listening to the sound, designing the wavetables, designing the effect racks, and then like creating the variations between all this stuff, it's just kind of one of those things. Fuck, it's Friday. I'm gonna turn my mic off for a bit. This one actually belongs in one of the, this one belongs in the regular patch, or the other patch, but it's just a simple bass. Sounds good, man. Thank you so much. I really appreciate everything. Yeah, so this one actually is in the other folder on this one. I just haven't moved it on my own personal folder, but it's supposed to be like, and the other one is just like a simple bass. Yeah, that one is really cool. And sometimes like you have to like mess with it for a bit in order for stuff to get like involved, because sometimes whenever you activate the neuro thing and it has like a resonant point and then you activate the generator, it'll take that piece of audio and then start to twist it. And that's why there's so much variation between all this stuff. Hopefully they're gone. Yeah, and then my camera just quit out, so it happens after like 2 hours of use, I guess. This one is just like a nice, easy like sub, and then whenever you activate the neuro stuff, that's when you get kind of like that more subtle sound, and then the generator thing just kind of, it's called Shattered Memories because it has some cool like almost tonal aspects to it. And again, I think that for some of these patches, I just wanted to start off with like a very simple sound. And as you kind of keep going, it'll get more and more complex. Yeah, this one's cool because it kind of emulates like almost like an amp or something with resonance feedback. And then this will give it like the brightness and the big space. I'm hoping all of these are like your worst acid trip. Sigma Virus is one that I've personally used quite a bit. I really like this one. It just sounds really big. Yeah, that one's awesome. Signal bass. I like that this just has like a lot of cool like whipping under it. Siren's Call. Strignoi Kidna Romanian Vampire. This one sounds really cool. It's very big. Yeah, I like that one a lot. I say that on almost all of these, but I think that if I didn't like them, I wouldn't put them out. Cool. Sutoku. I feel like this should be doing a lot more. I think that this isn't moving as much as it should be. Hold on 1 second. Sometimes just refreshing the patch can help a lot. It is very ambient, but I remember when I designed this patch, it was pretty aggressive. I feel like something is like just chilling. I mean, it's still cool that it's subtle, but like I said, I remember designing this patch on stream, and it was a little bit more... I remember that too. I watched you make it. It was fairly recent. Yeah, this one was recent. Interesting. Still cool. This one was, what, like a couple days ago? I don't know, to be honest. And I'm not really too worried about it, because that's kind of going to be one of those things is like not... I think that, you know, I like every single patch, but because of the aspect of randomization and stuff, like it's going to be different. It's going to be, you know, a little bit different every time you open it up. And sometimes part of it is just tweaking with it a bit and doing some, you know, doing some management to like kind of get it to have an interesting sound. But I want that for people anyways. I don't want them to... How do I say this? Like, I want people to feel encouraged to explore, because if you do feel encouraged to explore, then you're going to come in here and change stuff, right? So you'll change the different racks on here. You'll change the different wavetables. You can throw this on outside sources, right? So let's say you send the technical nightmare through a drum loop and you'll get something different. Like that's the idea of the possibilities that I'm trying to employ within this pack, as opposed to like, here's a sound that, you know what I mean, that every single producer is going to use. And I inadvertently solved a big issue that I was worried about with that, is that with these, I think that it'll be very difficult to trace, because the way that I hear it, or what I'm going to get out of it, is going to be different than what you're going to get out of it. And even though everything has like a little bit of like characteristic or kind of similar sound, it's always going to be a little bit varied. And I think that's actually a good thing. This is what makes this far different from doing samples using it. Exactly right. It's not just going to be, you know, trap snare 7. It's something that you're going to open this up, and you might open it up several times, but you're going to keep getting different things out of it. And that's what I'm hoping for people to find use out of this, like for the years to come, as opposed to, well, it's kind of cool, but you know, it's just a trendy thing. Like, no, like this stuff has so many use cases, I believe. Yeah, so we demoed that one. That one was cool. The Abandoned Mind, this one is an earlier one, but still pretty interesting. Exactly. Yeah, that one has lots of cool reverb ambiances and stuff. Okay, the Cave Troll. It looks like this one, I also automated the LFO, or sorry, the wavetable, because that sounds really cool. Awesome. I like this one a lot too. Yeah, this one's really cool. Yeah, awesome. Okay, Penguin Ghost. guess the penguin ghost has a vendetta. This one is recent as well. This one's tortured. Yeah, I love like the flanging of this one in particular. Tsukumogami. This is the default template that I used in order to make most of these, and it is up to date and has everything. I also included this in the Alckemy member rewards, but what this is how I go about making these bases now. And what I do is I start with the wavetable, and then I have some kind of FM source now within this one, and then between these two multi-pass and snap heap presets, you can either use these either for your generators or for your racks. And so when you turn these on, they're all mapped to these in particular and set up in such a way that all you have to do is start dropping effects in here and then it'll start working. So you just kind of turn the random depth up on this, and then you can place literally anything between these two parameters and it'll start working. So if you want to learn to make your own and stuff, I've already got a masterclass on that, but even still, you know, from studying this preset pack, there's a lot that you can learn from how this stuff is set up and how much time even just setting this up took, because it was quite a bit. So I hope that people are looking forward to figuring that stuff out, as this will like really help you out in making like these patches for yourself. We've only got a few more, but I think that you mostly get the gist of what it is that we have here with the Æturnum 3. There's just a ton of sounds in here that are very aggressive and very morphing and transformative that I hope people can, you know, start to use in their productions, or, you know, start to use this as a means of learning, I guess, more complex sound design. And again, I apologize about the clicking and stuff. Like I said, whenever I was designing all of these patches, I never ran into the DSP issue, but sometimes, I don't know, Bitwig and OBS and my computer just like want to do their own thing, so. Which is a shame, because this one is really cool. And also strange because I made this like 2-3 days ago, so again, I think it's just the beta version that this is being cranky about. But what I like about this one is that there's a lot of dungeon sounds within it, right? You kind of have this low growling sound, and then you kind of have something else that has those, you know, other characteristics that creep up in the back. This one is Vaultiel. Vaultiel is actually a creature from Silent Hill 3. And he's kind of always there in the background. You never fight him, but he's always like chilling in the back. And it's kind of cool. But this one has a cool, like, unique thing where I have this like super wide stereo processor to this, and then everything else is in mono. But yeah, this is what this one sounds like. So for this, you can hear that everything is in mono, but once you open it up, yeah, I thought this one was pretty cool just because of like the big stereo placement. Visago, this one is also relatively recent. And when I say recent, like this pack that I just released has like been over the course of what, good lord, 6 months in the making. So some of these are older, but still, you know, still are definitely cool. And then some of these are more recent, particularly the ones that say neural random, neural LFO generator. This one will have an FM and then the GB/dB wavetable, all that. This is designed, by the way, I didn't really talk about that, designed to, if you want to have like a downbeat bass, or if you want to like change this more so into a low pass, you kind of have that. But it's just kind of variation that you can add to it. And I have these turned off on most of these, but I kept this there to where you can turn it back on just in case if you want to use that. But yo, Screek, thanks so much for coming in. I really appreciate it. Have an awesome rest of your day. Yeah, this one's dope. Voices of the Deep. This one is also pretty recent. Cool. I guess this one started out as like a sub, because I want to say that there is like a low pass filter on here somewhere. Oh, there it is. And then as I turn the neuro thing up, it'll open up. Yeah, I love the morphing sounds. Huh, cool. Yeah, that one's cool. All right, we only have a few more left, so I'll just kind of run through these. And then what I will also do is just run through a quick patch of how to like put something together. And then I'll talk about some like resampling possibilities. And like the cool thing about this is like it's a true testament to Faceplant in general, because most of these have the same like effects on them. They just sound different because the combinations and like the mix between how these all interact with each other are different. And that's why there's, I don't know, the more that I put into this stuff, the more that I keep getting back. And some of them are subtle, some of them are super aggressive, but I think that it's just really neat to see how all this stuff creates this relationship with like the effects. So this should be the last one, but I think I made this while I was playing Metroid Dread, but it sounds like this. Yeah, that one's awesome. That's an awesome one to end on. I think that's the last of them. The Roar Maker is supposed to be in the other patch, so mine are not necessarily going to reflect yours, as this is a copy of Æturnum, and then I'm kind of move some stuff around. But yeah, that's pretty much all of the patches within Æturnum 3. We went through like 200 something patches, so if you sat through this entire thing, then thank you so much. But I guess now the big picture of all this though is what I want to talk about next, with just designing something from scratch. So one thing that I kind of want to propose with this is like, take this away. The patches and the bases and stuff are obviously really cool and I enjoy those, but something that is also worth taking a look at is, you know, something that is like a drum loop or whatever. And then taking a rack like this, like a snap heap rack or whatever, and just tossing it on here and seeing what it sounds like, because this is like why I included all of these other packs and all that, because, or all of these other presets individually. You have so much that you can use with this. And it's really interesting. And some of this stuff is a little bit less useful, like Clap Designer, and then the Filter Rack 2, and then the Cage Envelope, and that's some other stuff that I hope that people figure out. It's kind of a hint. But, you know, you can take something like, you know, the Sigma generator or whatever, and you might have to send this through a limiter because it's supposed to be quiet because of how it was designed in the other patches. But when you play this and you have everything off and then you start turning up the mix on it, then what's really cool about it is like you start getting, you know, a bunch of different stuff within this that will kind of allow you to have a bunch of variation. So this one actually has the sub intended in mind to like keep that low in there. So if we turn this off and then we just bring this back, Like, look, there's so much variation that you can get within this. And then what's crazy is like you can start doing stuff like this where you have two different things if you wanted to. So I don't know what this is going to sound like, but that's part of the fun and part of the point, right? Is to just take different stuff and mix and match them between with taking a very simple source sound and seeing what you get. And then, of course, like, you know, you can do all different kinds of stuff to this and have as many racks as your computer can handle. But when you start to look at stuff in this light, it's very fun and very interesting to see like what you can come up with. Again, if you have something that, you know, might even be like a vocal or something, right? Let's say we just have...
Keep it true.
Okay, that's terrible, but whatever. It's fine. We've got keep it true. And what you can do with this is maybe set this to 2 bars, so it's got just a little bit of a tail, and you can pull in something from multipass and just pull up one of these racks. And this is like one of my favorites. This one is an Æturnum 2, I believe, but I still use it all the time. But even just for context, right, of if you listen to this.
Keep it true. Keep it true.
I think I placed that on the wrong. There we go. Yeah, it's super cool. Using one that's actually from the rack. Okay, no, I didn't, but oh, come on, don't do that to me. So yeah, using something, whatever, I just want it to work, is you know, placing one of these racks or something. Both Snap Heap and Multipass have generators and filter racks on them. It just kind of depends on what I was feeling that day. But listening to this and kind of playing around with some of the stuff will give you more interesting results. Man, come on. Sorry guys, the beta, Bitwig does not play well with faceplant sometimes. Good Lord. There's literally nothing I can do about that. Please. I'm trying to show off a product. Man, really? Yeah, I don't know what's up, but Bitwig and Faceplant have not been getting along as of late, so... Okay, well, we're getting into that, so everything is crashing at this point, but sometimes it just has to do the thing where I might have to quit or so. This isn't because of Faceplant, it's because of Bitwig, I believe. Except for anything that has a convolution filter or convolution reverb in it. Sometimes that crashes pretty bad. So, all right, we got one.
Keep it true.
So this doesn't actually have any movement to it right now, but with most of these, we actually have a random depth filter. So that way you can either A, map outside modulators to these, or you can turn this on, and as you can see, it'll move on its own.
Keep it true. Keep it true. Keep it true. Keep it true.
And sometimes you can just run these through different effects and stuff, and then when you combine them with other things, you know, you end up getting some interesting results. But that's why I have both stuff that's meant for filtering and stuff that's meant for like generative means, because depending on the source that you have, it's kind of just a matter of being like, all right, well, you know, what can I use, or how can I use these tools to pull more variation out of these sounds? And mixing and matching sometimes gives you some cool stuff too. Like maybe you want to send this through the generator first, and then you want to do like the interesting filtering to it. But you can see that just by stretching the vocal and like playing around with the arrangement of these effects and stuff, like you get vastly different results. And that is the key to all of this, is just getting vastly different results, which I love. So yeah, let's say like you wanted to make your own bass or whatever. It kind of comes into the same idea of mixing and matching, even if you don't use the rack, because all you need is a source sound. Let's just go ahead and do like a super easy Reese bass or whatever, because that's pretty much what we always do, right? So you have something like this. What you can come into is grabbing one of these multi-pass or snap heap racks. It doesn't really matter, and just, you know, grab one of them from the Æturnum pack. Let's just grab that one. Doesn't really matter. And all of these, man, I'm sorry guys. All of these have a mix knob on them, which when Faceplant 2.0 comes out, you won't have to worry about that anymore, which will not necessarily make this obsolete, but will just be a much easier deal. Please work. Okay. And when you have that, you can just map them to a macro here. And this one, I believe, is a filter, I want to say. So yeah, so it will say like filter or neuro or whatever to help you identify what it is. And you can just label it as that. And then now, whenever you want to like do different stuff to this, you can just activate the entire rack. I'm going to grab a limiter on here. And that's it. We already made a neuro bass just from using one of these racks. And what's interesting about this is that, you know, again, assuming that your CPU can handle it or whatever, you can map different presets of this to do different stuff. It doesn't have to be like a neuro filter and a generator. It can be, you know, several different racks of any type that you want. It's just a matter of combining them between the two. So, you know, we've got this one, which is by itself. Then we've got this one. Now on this one, I don't have anything mapped here, so we can just turn the random depth up, and you can see that it moves on its own. And then if we want to move these outside, then we can also just set up random parameters or whatever. But now I can switch between these two filters if I want, and obviously they give vastly different results. And then what I can even do is turn them both on and combine them to where they interact with each other. And that's just off of saw waves. So like that's, I don't know, how much easier can this get, right? That's super easy. And then you start thinking about like adding more complex stuff through that. And I could teach you how to go into like how to set this up to where like this will dictate like the outside modulators and all that, but I'd just recommend that you check out the masterclass instead, or use the built-in Ultimate Bass Maker, or Ultra Bass Maker rather, which I moved it so it's in here. Hybrid basses, Ultra Bass Maker, and then we'll save that. But yeah, within this, you can just turn one of these on instead, and then start making stuff or do whatever it is that you want to do, whether you make your own or pull up one from there, because it will already be mapped and you don't have to worry about it. And what's interesting with this is that it's also got the LFOs on the outside, and that's kind of one of the key pulls to this new pack, I guess. But once you have that, you can just turn on all of these and they're already mapped accordingly, and you don't really have to mess with any of the routing. You can just turn this on. Or if you want to turn this on by itself, you can just turn off the modulators here, and then you can come into this one and it will turn itself on. So that way you don't have to do it on the inside or the outside, and that's kind of one of the issues that I was trying to solve, of just having the most versatility. And this is important because if you want to use the generator outside and these are being mapped to outside sources, well, because we've got these LFOs and stuff, this means that it's going to allow you to have the amount of control that you want to be able to be like, all right, well, I want outside LFOs or whatever to control the macros, or I just want to use it within the box, so I'm going to turn these on to use it within that. And that's one of the biggest differences between this pack and Æturnum 2, is that there's a lot of patches like this that will allow you to kind of have that deep flexibility. And they're not all like that, but it does make things a lot easier to just use. And that's the whole point within this. So yeah, I think it's super cool in that way of just having a bunch of stuff to kind of play with and mess with. And I'm really happy that there's just so much stuff to get into on this, and it's super fun, and I hope that everybody really enjoys it. Yeah, just by turning it on. And I can just go and grab a wavetable or so. You can grab one from the Æturnum 3, let's say this one, and then it's already kind of going into that and having lots of different variation and stuff. Or we can grab the filter instead. And it already gives you, like, for me anyways, usable sounds. And that's kind of why I think this pack is so valuable. Well, any of the Æturnum packs really, but for this in particular, there's, like I said, there's just so much variation that you're going to find within this. And I really hope that people love this, because it's pretty much like a summarization of like my entire sound design journey of like trying to make the coolest things that I possibly can. So I guess like one final thing that I'll talk about is just like a quick intro, and I'm going to have a masterclass on this at some point, but when it comes to actually implementation of these sounds, as opposed to just like getting the sounds in general, what I typically like to do is just come over here, I'm going to delete this, and set up a loop. And it's just going to be an octave of whatever key I'm in, usually F. So if you go here and go to this one, like this, and then do an octave, then it's just going to sound like two octaves playing together. And then from here, I can actually perform some of the macros here, which is usually just these two that I want to mess with anyways, but and then what I would do is I would resample all that to a new channel, and then I would either cut the audio or I would toss that into a sampler and change the velocity, or set the velocity so that way the sample start changes with each velocity value from 0 to 127. And then what's also cool about this is there is this option on some of these to where it's like a stab / pluck. So if you want to make it more like a downbeat, then you can use that as like a beginning point or something as like a consistent hit for your low end, and you can resample that, or you can just put a low pass over the entire thing and then use that as your sub, because all of these have a clean res. And so if you were to just use that, then you can definitely just use that as your sub. So again, this is really just trying to solve every single bass issue with sound design that you might have. Like this is an entire bass suite. Every preset is an entire bass suite and has the neuro stuff. It's got your downbeat. It's got, you know, your sub. It's got aggressive filtered movement. It's got crazy unpredictable things, but this is like your one-stop shop to making really heavy bass music. And where I really want to go from here, as far as like if I were to make Æturnum 4 or something, is to just figure out how to continue doing all this, but for one, make the sounds even more crazy and more varied, but also how to make it cleaner so that way it resolves a lot of the mixing issues that you might run into. But aside from that, I mean, I'm not really sure what else somebody could ask for as far as how much variety and how much, you know, just stuff you have within this. It's maybe not necessarily the end all be all, but I think that it's a wonderful starting place if you want to make bass music. You know, all of the crazy neurobasses and stuff that you hear, I feel anyways, it's in here. It's there. You just have to go and pull it out, and you don't have to go very far in order to do so. Yeah, I'm pretty proud of myself with this kind of stuff, and I hope that you guys, from hearing the demo or the majority of the demo, I know that I had some audio problems, so I apologize, but yeah, I really hope that you guys enjoy this, because it took a lot of time to make, and there was a lot of heartfelt stuff and passion of like really taking the time to care about each sound that I put into this. So thank you all. I really appreciate your time and stuff, and I hope that you guys feel inspired if you decide to purchase this pack, and you can always hit me up if you have any questions. One final thing that I will leave you with is that you don't have to have the entire Phase Plant suite in order to use this stuff. You do want to download all of the demo version or the trial versions of everything, so that way the actual snap heap and multipass, or snap-ins rather, will work. But you can, even though you can't really change the preset, you can manipulate the macros, and that's something that's really cool on Kilohearts end. So thank you all so much for watching. I really appreciate it, and we'll be back Monday with some cool stuff. Do me a favor, check out the pack. If you do purchase it, please consider leaving me a review somewhere, like either on, probably just in the comment section of this video, and let me know how you like it. Let me know how I can do this better. Let me know what I can do to improve, because I mean, you know, this is what I do for a living. So much love to you all, and I really appreciate it. Go grab the pack and check out my drum pack as well. It's pretty awesome, and I will see you all later.